Member from Thorn Hill.
Thank you very much, Speaker, and what a great day this is for Ontario. High time that we did this, so I rise today to join my colleagues in support of Bill 17, an act to proclaim the month of May Jewish Heritage Month. Before I go any further, I'd like to pay special tribute to my colleague, the member for Eglinton Lawrence, for coming up with this idea and for inviting myself and the member for Parkdale High Park to co-sponsor the bill with him. It's a genuine display of nonpartisanship and something that is long overdue in our province. Thorn Hill, which of course I represent, has the largest Jewish population in the province of Ontario. At last count, something like 60 synagogues in Thorn Hill alone, probably 10 more since I did that count. People often wonder about us as a community that's been around in one form or another for many thousands of years. For example, here in Ontario, people will often ask, why are so many of you professionals? Why do so many of you own businesses? The answer is actually quite simple. It's because in the early 19th century, when Jewish immigrants started to arrive in the province of Ontario, they couldn't get jobs in the big corporate setups that existed at the time. So they had to go on the necessity being the mother of invention idea and invent jobs. So inventing a job meant you either became a professional or you started a business. And some of these things survive today. Of course, we've gotten past the days where there are corporate barriers to Jewish people, and for that matter, any other people in this wonderful, diverse province that we have. But that's part of the history, and that's one of the things that we can expose when we introduce Bill 17 and wind up with a law that creates Jewish Heritage Month. And Bill 17 is precisely about that. It's about recognizing Jewish Ontarians and their many contributions to our province's history. Ontario was founded by new Canadians who took it upon themselves to build a great province, and indeed, that's what we have in Ontario. The first Jewish immigrants, as I mentioned, struggled when they arrived in the early part of the 19th century. They established their small businesses to support themselves and their families, and my colleague from Eglinton Lawrence has very well enunciated the same list of people that I have here who are great contributors from the community. I might add in medicine, Dr. Rena Buckstein in hematology and Dr. A.I. Walensky in anesthesiology. In business, Peter Monk, the founder and chairman of Barrick Gold, Joseph Rotman of Clairvest, Heather Reisman, founder and CEO of Indigo Books. The list goes on and on. And in sports, you mentioned Mr. Tannenbaum, who's with us today. Go Leafs, go! And Dan Schulman of TSN and ESPN. There are just so many. Institutions founded by the Jewish community to help serve the growing immigrant population of Ontario. And this, again, may surprise some people. Mount Sinai Hospital was founded originally to serve Toronto's poor Yiddish-speaking immigrant population. Can you imagine that beautiful edifice on University Avenue starting that way? And it welcomed Jewish doctors and medical interns who were often rejected by other institutions back in the day. Mount Sinai has grown, of course, into one of North America's top teaching, research, and medical institutions. Baycrest Hospital and Home for the Aged was founded by the Ezras Noshim Society, which was a charitable women's group to care for the elderly. And this facility, too, has grown into one of Canada's leading institutions in aging and brain health research and innovation. May, as Mr. Cole of Eglinton Lawrence has duly noted, is a really important month. It's when we mark Holocaust Remembrance Day, or Yom HaShoah, when we remember those who were lost in that tragedy. Israeli Independence Day, or Yom HaAtzmaut, marking Israel's declaration of independence. UJA Walk for Israel, which raises money and awareness for the cause of Israel, so well represented in Canada by our Prime Minister Stephen Harper. The Jewish Film Festival, Jewish Music Week. It is fitting that May be the month designated as Jewish Heritage Month. In conclusion, this bill has received the endorsement of prominent members of the Jewish community, many of whom are represented here today, organizations as well as individuals, and interestingly also endorsed by the National Congress of Italian Canadians, for whom I was involved in this as well, helped pass Italian Heritage Month for another great builder group in the province of Ontario last year. Hundreds of communities have helped build this province. Bills like Bill 17 help us as Ontarians to illustrate and recognize these contributions, and I urge all of my parliamentary colleagues to join me in support of Bill 17 and see to its speedy passage here today. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I am very pleased to have this opportunity to speak in support of Bill 17, a bill proposing that the month of May be recognized as Jewish Heritage Month in Ontario, and I'd also like to welcome our guests to the gallery today. I'd like to start by applauding the member from Eglinton Lawrence for bringing this important bill forward, and to my colleagues, the member from Thornhill and Parkdale High Park, for agreeing to co-sponsor it. The Jewish community's rich contribution to Canadian culture, science, business and innovation has done much to enhance the fabric of our multicultural society. From medicine to law, politics to philanthropy, it's hard to think of a professional field that has not been positively impacted by the Jewish community. And it's so fitting that the month of May has been chosen as the month to recognize Jewish heritage, because among other important events, May also marks Holocaust Remembrance Day and Israel's Independence Day. Jewish Heritage Month would also give us the opportunity to recognize the phenomenal contributions many Jewish Canadians have made to our province. And rather than mentioning the many names that have already been mentioned by many of my colleagues, I'd like to recognize a particular field that I think that many members of Canada's Jewish community have made a significant impact on, and that's in the area of business, and particularly in the area of business innovation. As we know, we're facing very difficult economic times here in Ontario, Mr. Speaker, and I think we need to look elsewhere for some inspiration. We have a significant innovation gap here in Ontario, which affects our productivity and our ability to compete on the world stage. And it's so fitting that so many Jewish Canadians have stepped up to the plate to make connections with Israel, to form some partnerships, places that we can learn from. Israel is well known as an innovation incubator, as a startup nation, and there have been some very positive connections that have been made with the assistance of many members of the Jewish community, with both the federal government and the provincial government, particularly in the area of brain research, which is going on now. There are many other opportunities. And I would say that I recently had the opportunity to visit Israel several weeks ago, Mr. Speaker, and had the opportunity to visit Technion, the Israel Institute of Technology, and the Weizmann Institute of Science. There's some wonderful work that's being done there that we could truly learn from. So I want to celebrate that particularly today. There's much that we can learn from here in Ontario, much that we can work on together, so that we will have so much to celebrate during the month of May and to be grateful for. Thank you very much.
Thank you. For the debate, the member from Halton.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm very pleased to take part in today's events. The only surprise that I have today is that there isn't already a Jewish Heritage Month in Ontario. It's been such an intricate part of our community and of our province for so long. I was very pleased in 1997 to be able to pass the Holocaust Memorial Act, which was the first time a Holocaust Memorial Act was passed anywhere in the world outside of Israel. So Ontario led the way in passing the first Holocaust Memorial Act, the Holocaust Memorial Day. Since that time, all 10 provinces have passed Holocaust Memorial Acts, and I believe that the count in the United States is over 30 states in the United States. So Ontario led the way in recognizing the Holocaust Memorial Era. This year, the Holocaust Memorial Day, it falls on the 27th of the month of Nisan in the Julian calendar, and that day translates to April 19th. So it's a little early this year, as occurs from time to time, and maybe we'll celebrate it on April 19th, or maybe we'll celebrate it on May 1st. We'll see how things go. This year, we have many of us have spoken about the names that have been listed here, and it's interesting that, and I would like to make a few comments because many of them bring back memories or represent people that I've known. And Barbara Frum, I met a number of times when she was on CBC, and of course I enjoy reading her son's articles. It's very difficult to find of course. The Fourth Estate isn't here right now, but they listen in their offices. So you have to always be careful what you say about the press, because they're always listening. And but I just say that it's difficult to find a conservative reporter, a Conservative journalist, and whenever I see a byline by David Frum, of course, I scan it carefully because it is difficult to find a Conservative writer. So it's David. David is. Some of the other names that pop out is Honest Ed Mirvish. If there was a father of Canadian theatre, it is Ed Mirvish, and so he brings back wonderful memories of just a great guy who built the live theatre in Toronto to become, I think we have the third most active live theatres of any city in the world, followed behind London and New York. Toronto runs number 3, and that's much to his credit that he made those things happen. You know, Johnny Wayne and Frank Schuster, I remember those two guys on TV, 67 times appearances on Ed Sullivan, but more than that, I remember them at the Toronto Maple Leaf games. Especially Johnny Wayne was
that's when they used to win.
Was a huge fan, and well, I tell you, one of the memories that I have of the 1967 Stanley Cup championships when we won, they were on the ice. They were on the ice that year, and who knows? Who knows? It's February and we're still in contention, so just get a goalie. Get a goalie. The deadline's coming. You need one. Anyway, they're great memories. Peter Monk, the world's largest gold trader, and gold traveling at $1,800 an ounce or whatever. As gold has moved up and down, who amongst us hasn't made a few bucks on a gold stock in this province? So, great memories of him. Sam Shopowitz, boy, the best corned beef sandwich that you can have anywhere in the province. And it goes on. I could go on. Sam Schneiderman, my father used to go down to Sam's record shop on Yonge Street to buy classical records. I know I'm going over, Speaker. To buy classical records, and it was one of the few places you could get a huge selection. So it's just part and parcel of our heritage in Ontario, and it's just so right that we have this month of May. Thanks.